Nobody expected this to play out this way, as Freddy Peralta has thrown an absolute gem in the first game of the series against the Toronto Blue Jays. We're going to be breaking this game down, going over the team that is now back, as well as what is in store for tomorrow, with a very good update regarding Jackson Chourio, and a very quick look ahead at Quinn Priester as he is set to face up against the Blue Jays and Kevin Gausman. But ladies and gentlemen, this game tonight was the exact game that we knew the Brewers needed, but didn't expect it to happen this way. I'm going to be breaking this game down. Before we do jump into all of this, though, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button. We're having a lot of videos just like this, post-games, news videos, everything regarding your Milwaukee Brewers news. We're going to have it right here for you guys. We also noticed just over 98% of you guys watching right now have not hit that sub button already, so if you're looking for your Brewers news, be sure to do so. I'm getting you guys with daily videos, multiple a day sometimes as well, but let's get straight into this. I first want to just pull up the score over across the 9 innings, because I feel like this is something that nobody expected the Brewers to do, especially with a depleted team, an injured team, going up against one of, if not the best team in the AL, and absolutely dominating them on the front of just being able to pitch well, you're hitting around them well, and against a pitcher who's coming off Tommy John, but still very, very good. We're going to be touching on that as well. The Blue Jays may have just kind of got a little bit unlucky in that one. But I think the Brewers team is just absolutely dominant. And we're going to touch on that in a moment, like I said here as well. But apart from the 7th inning there from Aaron Ashby, a bit of a kind of questionable inning, a bit of a tough go from him, this pitching staff today was absolutely dominant against the Toronto Blue Jays team, which, albeit, is still hurt. And of course, I'm going to jump into Dalton Varsho as well, to hit by Aaron Ashby. I hope he is all right. You don't want to see any injuries, especially for a guy like Varsho, who has been hurt so many times this year already. But this box score right here, just looking at this score across the 9 innings, this is something that we wanted and needed to see out of this Brewers team after coming out of a few games of a losing streak, and also coming into this series where there's going to be a very big tell about what is going to happen in this postseason, and being labeled by the MLB, by ESPN, by everybody as a potential World Series matchup. But as I mentioned, going into this pitching staff right now, Freddy Peralta, 1 hit over 6 innings with 8 Ks and a walk, throwing an absolute gem, his 4th straight start without allowing a run. That is genuinely crazy to take a look at, and we know there's been a few ups and downs for him this season, but when you're taking a look at his stats by themselves in games like this that matter, everything like that is put right in the back of your mind. This game really said what we needed to hear about Freddy Peralta, about what should happen with him in the offseason, about everything going into the remainder of the season. And as I mentioned, Aaron Ashby really the only having the little struggle there in that 7th inning. 2 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and a strikeout. You can disregard that, of course, the hit by pitch of Dalton Varsho as well. Command really was not there tonight. He was a bit wild and really caused an inning like this. So hopefully, of course, Dalton Varsho is all right. There was zero intent behind it. I know I saw some people on Twitter saying there was. Absolutely not. For a guy like Aaron Ashby right now to hit a guy like Dalton Varsho, nobody hates Dalton Varsho. It's just a pure unlucky situation, and Aaron Ashby didn't have his best stuff tonight. But going down to Shelby Miller and Uribe as well, an absolute gem from both of these guys as well. Now, even though it's still only 1 inning, and as I've mentioned over the past few videos, this team may start having to giving a few extra innings to elsewhere in this bullpen with the amount of injuries that we have. We're really getting to see some people like this, Shelby Miller, come into himself, the guy that we got from the Diamondbacks, who we actually traded for, starting to come in, and of course, Uribe closing this game out is absolutely crucial. Not a save, but a hold here for this one, or, whatever situation it was. Not sure exactly what the score, but going into this game, you're going to have to see a lot of pitchers doing well in the bullpen, and with a depleted bullpen as well over the Blue Jays side, I think this was a absolute successful game from this team, and especially Uribe, who's going to be taking this closing role over the next at least potentially remainder of the regular season from what we've been hearing regarding Trevor McGill. But of course, we got to touch on that later when we do get another update, and that's what they've been saying on the broadcast tonight. Now, jumping into the hitting tonight as well. Once again, we saw the bats come alive again tonight, and of course, just Christian Yelich and Blake Perkins without a hit here tonight, and ultimately, not a really bad one. And Sal Frelick as well, excuse me. I did not see that one there with 3 strikeouts, but a little, things like that happen, as I mentioned. And coming into this game where you need to have a lot of players up against a guy like Shane Bieber, who has not pitched yet in, a year and a half, pitched 1 game so far this season in the MLB, and was very good in that. Shane Bieber still got his stuff. And I think that this team didn't get lucky, perhaps, but I think the Blue Jays got a little bit unlucky that he was on not necessarily a pitch limit, not a pitch count, but at 93 pitches or whatever he had, a 5 1/3, I believe it was. you're not going to keep him in for much longer. So this was a pitching duel up until then, and I'll point that out as well with the box score here. Up until the 5th is when the Blue Jays really were holding down the Brewers as well, and this game seemed like it was going to be a rubber match for the remainder of it, but it ended up being in the Brewers' favor, and we're going to have a very tough matchup once again tomorrow against Kevin Gausman. But if we see the bats like we did tonight, of course, with Andrew Vaughn going 3 singles, and of course a very, very good game from him, and just about everybody being able to swing the bat here, I think we're in great shape. And Andrew Monasterio, once again, another shout-out for that home run early on in the game to start this one, and then getting it going. Apart from that, everything seemed to be a bit, back and forth. Whatever could have happened, but I think the Brewers got the best in this one, and, we're going to have to see what goes on tomorrow afternoon in that second game, and we're going to break that down here in a little bit as well, going over the pitching matchup. I first wanted to give an update regarding Jackson Chourio from Todd Rosiak, which is an absolutely perfect scenario going into tomorrow's game, where you're seeing a few other players who may not be playing the best. Blake Perkins may get a day's rest here as Jackson Chourio comes in, but he will be activated for tomorrow's game. They wanted to give him a day to acclimate and make sure he's 100% after a long travel day. So looking like it could have been today that Jackson Chourio was in, but the Brewers, as we've been kind of talking about, didn't really want to rush anything. There's no need to. Yes, this is an important game. They got the win. You didn't really know what was going to happen at first, but it's much better to have Jackson Chourio sit that extra game if you're not 100% confident. Now, speaking on the 100%, people were asking, hey, Jackson, how have you been? How are you feeling? He says, perfect. This is absolutely what we needed to hear for a guy who we've seen struggle a bit in AAA in his rehab, but as we've been mentioning, and as Pat Murphy has said in last video like we spoke about, we're not worried about his stats with AAA. We're worried about the player that's coming back to the MLB, was not competing while he was injured, of course. Give him rest, let him get ready for the postseason, and now coming back in this lineup, we know he's going to be excited. And I'm expecting a very good game from Jackson Chourio tomorrow. I'm going to make a bold prediction on it, even though it may not be very bold, and we know he's going to be a phenomenal player once again as soon as he returns tomorrow. But that's going to be a major update regarding him on what's going to happen. But before we do jump in as well to the Cubs update, the standings update currently where we stand, September 1st, I want to give you guys an update, is when the rosters do expand. So the Brewers can add 1 position player and 1 pitcher. Now, we just don't know who this may be yet. I know there's a few players that we've been having up and down over the last little while, and a few roster moves that needed to be made to, kind of acclimate for all of the IL players that we currently have, but that's just an update for then, and we're going to cover that now in a couple days when that does come out, and we get closer to having an idea of who that may be. But heading in to what we've seen from the Blue Jays tomorrow, Kevin Gausman, as I mentioned, 8-10. Don't look at the record. Don't bother about the record. The ERA is what matters, and we know Kevin Gausman is a very good pitcher. So his splitter, they're going to have to be on it tomorrow, and I think this is something that, this Brewers team certainly is going to really adjust to quickly, let's hope. And I think that Kevin Gausman over the past few games has struggled a little bit, but it don't matter. A player can struggle and still be the best pitcher in the MLB. We've seen it before. We did it to Paul Skeens. We can do it here to Kevin Gausman as well. And of course, Quinn Priester on the mound tomorrow, 11-2, 3.44 ERA. Let's get him as well, as much as he can, to save up this bullpen, because as we've mentioned, Uribe is the closer from now on, and we don't really want to have him kind of get a burnout while we're waiting for Trevor McGill to return. So let's just try and get as much as we can out of the starter, but not push anything too far and farther than it needs to go. So that's the look tomorrow. And of course, tonight's game, the Cubs and the Brewers both play. Both are seemingly going to win. Of course, the Brewers have. See the Cubs playing the Rockies. We can kind of guess the result from this series. So we have to assume that, the Cubs are going to win 3 games here. The Brewers have a 3-game series against the Blue Jays. Not going to be as easy as the Rockies, but we know that this is a very important series, and we're currently going to be 84-52. And the Cubs, after this game, which they are currently playing at the time of this video being recorded and going up, 77-58. So still 6.5 games above, but we need to get better. We need to keep on winning, keep on winning, keep on winning, keep on putting up runs, keep the pitching going, and we will be in good shape. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about tonight's game, as well as what you're expecting tomorrow from not just Jackson Chourio, not just Quinn Priester, but this entire Brewers team against a very, very good pitcher in Kevin Gausman. But that's all I have in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well, and remember, we're going to have every bit of news coming your way from the Milwaukee Brewers right here on the channel. You won't want to miss it. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.